Dear I Am reader, thank you for joining us today. Amortality magazine is pleased to present a new article by activist and philanthropist Didier Coeurnelle. Today's title is, What is Longevitism, Amortality, Transhumanism, and Technoprogressism? Will we be able to live forever remains an unanswered question. Turning 100 years old into the new 60, that is significantly extending human lifespan, has changed from a question of if to a matter of when. Peter Diamandis. Health without any time limit is one of humanity's oldest dreams. We know more and more about why and how aging occurs, but we still cannot control senescence. Not all those who wish to go beyond our biological limits, beyond 100 years of life, will define themselves as transhumanists. On the other hand, almost all transhumanists will describe themselves as longevitists. What is longevitism? It is the search for a much longer life, beyond what is possible today, thanks to advances in science and medicine. Longevitism arouses both attraction and opposition. The opposition is often motivated by the fear of false hopes, the fear of living longer but in poor health, and the fear of therapies only for the rich. Longevitists want research for a healthy life, based on serious scientific evidence, and are generally attentive to broad accessibility. Their research may be moderate, aimed at and only a few more years of good health, or can be strong, aiming for a life of well over 120 years. So the goal of these therapies is to strongly reduce or even eliminate the mechanisms of senescence. The most optimistic will aim at what is called biological immortality, the absence of any aging mechanism. The term amortality is also used. What is transhumanism? Let's take Wikipedia's definition. Transhumanism is a philosophical movement that advocates for the transformation of the human condition by developing and making widely available sophisticated technologies able to greatly modify or enhance human intellect and physiology. The word transhumanism sometimes frightens people because it evokes the appeal of dangerous, dehumanizing technologies. The vast majority of transhumanists are aware of the dangers linked to technical progress. They actively wish for technologies to reduce risks, especially the so-called existential ones, to increase resilience and the quality and duration of life. The improvements that transhumanists aim for can be physical, stronger, further, more adapted to the environment. It can be related to the sense organs, better sight, smell, new sensory capacities, or can be related to intellectual capacities to allow for greater intelligence, empathy, compassion, and happiness. But the improvement most often envisaged by transhumanists is that of the improvement of life expectancy, thus the objective of longevitists. Increasing life expectancy is the necessary but not a sufficient condition for all other increases or for all human rights. Without sustainable life, there are no rights and no possibilities. What is technoprogressism? Technoprogressism is a transhumanist approach for which the idea of linking technological and social progress is central. When we look at the history of humanity, we see that technological progress has largely contributed to social progress, and vice versa, but this is not automatic. Technoprogressists will insist on accessibility to technological progress for all those who want it. This applies in particular to health and longevity therapies. One of the main founders of transhumanism, David Pearce, summarizes transhumanism by 3 S's: superlongevity, superintelligence, and super well-being. Technoprogressists sometimes add super-democracy or super-social. Biological longevity and computer longevity. For most contemporary longevitists, the ultimate goal is a much longer life with an ordinary body not so different from the contemporary body. This concept of ordinary body must be put into perspective. We already accept today many things that would have appeared totally unnatural even to the most erudite, just as centuries ago. We transfuse blood, we almost all have foreign bodies in our mouths. At the end of our lives, most of us will have gone through a physiological state that does not exist outside of medicine, but somewhere between sleep and death. We call it general anesthesia. Millions of humans have been conceived in a test tube. Millions of us also have pacemakers and cochlear implants. In fact, what yesterday was an unimaginable transgression is today's medicine. And today's transhumanism could be tomorrow's medicine. For some more radical transhumanists and longevitists, we could go far beyond our biological composition. Man-machine fusion could develop involving increasingly large part of the body, creating a cyborg. Further still, one day human consciousness could become independent of the body and be transferred onto a computer medium. This vision was discussed in a letter in 2012, published on heals.org, and remains today totally hypothetical within a reasonable time frame. For most longevitists, and probably also for most transhumanists, this could only become possible where computers reproduce biological processes as well as, or even better than the processes themselves, where the virtual copy would be better than the original. Like a beautiful film can be more beautiful than reality, or like a game can be more enjoyable than the situation that gave birth to it. For computers to reproduce biological processes will require nanotechnology and computer efficiency far beyond current capabilities. Above all, it implies being able to understand and replicate the neural mechanisms of what is often defined as the most complex object in the known universe, the brain. Longevity, transhumanism, and artificial intelligence. The IT of the near future is above all the development of an increasingly strong artificial intelligence to facilitate human interest. Longevitists, transhumanists or not, hope and try to implement computing processes, allowing better and faster research. An acceleration of discoveries for health, longevity, and resilience also requires massive data that is easily accessible and well organized. Using research capabilities primarily for these purposes, rather than for competitive, military, or consumer purposes, is likely to reduce the risks associated with artificial intelligence. Making the best brains, both human and computational, working together for a much longer healthy life, will reduce the risks of developing intelligence that is far removed from human beings. This is important because the risks of an artificial intelligence turning radically wrong are considered high by many. Among those who are concerned, there are many transhumanists, including Nick Bostrom, author of a renowned book on the subject. More human tomorrow. Longevitists generally focus first on medical progress and everything that contributes to it. Transhumanists, especially technoprogressists, also seek to analyze why this progress is important. They will explain that a much longer life will make it possible to have a more peaceful life, with less violence and more caution. A much longer life will make it possible to love each other more and to stress us less since we will have more time. A much longer life will make it possible to be more careful about the biosphere because we will know that we are here for the long term. We know that a sustainable body is not possible without a sustainable planet. A much longer life will make it possible to also have less overpopulation and more attention to children, for it is where life is longest that children are the rarest and that we have the most time to devote to them. For these and other reasons, the age-old quest for the fountain of youth is today a more desirable and reasonable goal than ever. Today, we still have to accept death from old age because we have no choice, but tomorrow we may choose. Now, a question for IM readers. Do you consider yourself a transhumanist, a longevitist, or a technoprogressist? Let us know what you think, and if you like this article, share it with the world. To write for IM or to publish on our platform, find us on Amortalistmagazine.com. Subscribe to receive our digital magazines, voice articles, and updates straight to your inbox. Right to you by IMBot.